Testing, testing, testing. Let's see if we have a live stream. Do not. Okay, we do have a stream, haha. But do we though? It's the wrong title again. Hey guys. Yeah, I don't know why the title isn't what I write in when I start the stream. I will never understand it. But I will fix it. In just a sec. There we go. Okay, so sorry again to everyone who was disappointed that today is not an animation stream with Rick, just some boring old rigging as usual. Alright, I think the title has been fixed. The description was not. Why are you like this, YouTube? Why? Okay. Technology taken care of. Now the plan for today is we fix the bone rolls and the bone orientations of all the deformed bones that we placed on the last stream. Then we slap down some parent bones for, so basically the jaw and some lip masters and stuff like that, and maybe an eyebrow master. And then I think I will get right onto the eyebrows because that part is pretty easy. And we will probably leave the mouth and lip stuff for another time. And we'll try to get like eyebrows and a blink done today, maybe. But we will see about that. Okay, first of all, what is this? Okay, I don't need this stuff anymore. And also, I found out since last time why it takes half a year to regenerate the rig. Because apparently, for some reason in this particular file, renaming bones takes like 1/10 of a second per bone, which is not great. So what I'm gonna do because of that, if it actually ever lets me, I'll just cancel this. Can I cancel this? Yes. Cancel, undo, save this. I'm just gonna, oh, wait, I forgot to put the Demeter rig into the character collection. Then I'll start a new file and append all of snow, because for some reason that makes the problem go away. Literally no idea why. Don't ask me. That's just how it is. Let me fix the shading here. There we go. And now if I regenerate, it's faster. It's still kind of slower than I expected, but it didn't take a minute. Okay, 5 seconds. Good enough, good enough. Certainly better than 73 seconds that we had on the last stream. So I'm just gonna overwrite. No, god damn it. I will in a second overwrite. Now I will. Are you kidding me? Now I will overwrite Snow Rig. There we go. Okay. Let's take a look at the chat. How is everyone doing? Rigging is not as boring as I think. You would like to be a rigger? I don't know, man. There are exciting parts about it, of course, but it's maybe not the rigging itself, though. Making a movie, that's pretty cool, for sure. Where are my layers? That's odd. Here they are here. Here they are not. I probably broke something. I guess we're going without layers. Actually, I don't need those layers as generated rig. We won't be looking at them much. So, wait, where's my face bones? So let's start today by throwing down a jaw bone and parenting all kinds of stuff to it. And that parenting is not going to be final at all. It's just a very initial thing. Let me get rid of relationship lines because they're kind of useless. And the jaw position is also something that we'll probably have to tweak a bunch, but for now I'll just drop it below the earlobe, but also at the center of the lips, like Okay, maybe I can make that a little bit more precise. The center of the lips, below the earlobe. That's how I usually start, and then I go from there. This looks like a jaw, right? I mean, where the tail is doesn't really matter. Yeah, I'll just have it here. It only matters if the animators plan to translate it, which for this character, I don't think there will be a whole lot of. Let's call it a jaw. You can also model it a little shape, but maybe I'll just keep it simple and just give it a circle and tweak it a bit. Viewport display. Rotate that circle. Bring it forward a bunch. Squash it. Squash it. Maybe squash it like this instead. Oh. I guess something like that. I don't know. Meh. I'll do some modeling. Wait. Oh, but something is wrong with my script, and it didn't name this to widget circle, which I would like it to do. Oh, I mean widget jaw. That's what I want. But now it is. This is fine. And then I want to move this right here. We can give this a bone group as well. Call it face primary. Make it red. There we go. Will the next stream be the last? I don't think so. Is it Rain's husband or brother? Undefined. It could be whichever you want. I think we kind of deliberately keep these characters quite vague because it's like they're kind of like, you can think of them all as mannequins. Like they can be whoever you want, you know. Try to rotate the arms with making the texture smooth. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of texture, and I haven't done much on the body rigging, so there's not much to see, and I don't know which area you mean exactly, so, I mean, everything is kind of a disaster right now. But again, he doesn't have a whole lot of texture, to be honest. Ooh. Oh god, and now I have to wait for Eevee shaders to compile. Rigging sucks, I agree. There's just nothing to see here, to be honest with you. There is actually Yulin did some nice wool kind of shading, and I'm fine with the amount that this is stretching. It's an amount that nobody would see from any distance, unless for some reason you want to have a shot where you're full screen 1080p on his shoulders, then somebody will say that there's some stretching. And here there's no detail that is noticeable. Anyways, why are we doing this? Back on track. Jaw. We have a jaw. I wanted to edit this mesh by just deleting some verts and maybe scaling this out with proportional edit with a sharp fall off. Yeah, something like that. A bit more. Sure. Eh. This is fine. Okay, we'll keep that for now. It can be more fancy in the future. And let's parent a bunch of bones to it. Get rid of iframe. And we also want to parent the lower lips. Bam. Oh, and these bones, as we found out last stream, we don't actually need, so let me get rid of those. Although, I mean, something like that will be needed in the future. Did I just undo the parenting? No. I'll keep them around, but maybe I'll hide them or so. Why is that one smaller? There you go. Alright, so some of these cubes were a mistake, and I'll hide them away for now. Let's make an unused layer here real quick. I like to have an unused layer where I just shove bones that I might use later, but I don't want to use right now. And so I can just put stuff there and then disable it. Wait, what? Disable it, I said. Oh, I didn't assign it. There we go. Okay. Oops. I should lock the object transforms as well, because I'm not used to this keyboard and this mouse, and the sensitivity is insane. But I don't want to change it because I know other people are using it as well, so I'm just gonna try to enable all the stuff that I have. You can see me also constantly overshooting my mouse movements. The widgets I don't care about, but the helpers I do. So let's select everything and lock them. I was holding Alt there, so it affects all the objects, not just the active one. And also, because Pablo and Bo are working on a little animation test, I realized that this guy is being rendered, which is not ideal. I think I can just do this. Yes. That should be fine. And also for the viewport, let me set this to wire only. This one already is. Okay. All right. One more tangent, and let's get back on track. Oops. This I don't need. So, some stuff is parented to the jaw. Let's just generate and see what that gets us. It's probably not going to be great. It is not. It's annoying that layer UI is not working right now. Okay, so what's going on here? Seems my middle anchor is not parented. Did I forget? I forgot. Easy enough to fix. And regenerate. Oh right, that guy I need to do something fancy to get to work. So let's do that. So what I want to do here, oh, but looks like I already did it. Oh no, the things that I thought were useless I actually already fixed. Okay, I misremembered. I thought I didn't fix them yet, so these are actually in use now. Yes, okay. Never mind. Never mind. These should not have been banished to the Shadow Realm. Let's bring them back. And regen. And I forgot to parent them to the jaw. I still don't know why the default bone layer UI still looks like that for real. Yeah, it's just been neglected. There's not enough developers, unfortunately, but maybe one day. But in the meanwhile, I mean, I have this for myself, which is also in Rigify. It's just currently, apparently I broke it while I was fixing stuff. That's how it goes. What was I gonna do? Parent this to this. And I'm also surprised that my bone group seems to disappear. So I assigned this jaw to the face primary bone group, and I expected that to show up here. But it doesn't seem to. Huh. Everything is broken today. Don't worry about it. Oh, because I know why. I forgot to put the cloud copy Rigify type on the jaw. I'm just kind of all over the place today, it seems. I don't know if I want a deform bone for the jaw. Probably yes, just to have a little bit of weight down here that doesn't really belong to anybody else. Yeah, because I didn't put any controls there. So you see, this is why I wanted to speed up the regeneration, because if I can freely regenerate in a few seconds, then I do it a lot more often. And look at that, even his, oh no, okay, his teeth are not opening. I don't know why his teeth are in a kind of open position, but we have a mouth that can, I mean, yeah. It's a start. It's a start. Okay, this has already been correctly smoothed. No, it's not. That's good. Let's figure out the teeth. So for now, in a very temporary manner, I would like to parent these teeth to the jaw. They seem to be parented to the head, which is fine, because that's the best thing we had until a few minutes ago, but why is it slightly open? If I unparent it, will it stop being slightly open? It shifts forward. I think I might have broken something, but let's just reset it, and that's fine. Okay. You know, my philosophy is that if something is wrong and you can fix it, don't worry about figuring out why it was broken. Just fix it. Because some things are better left unknown, you know? Especially if you want to get stuff done. Okay, so those teeth, I'm just gonna very dirtily bone parent to this jaw on the generated rig, importantly. Which is, of course, again, not the final solution. We will eventually have teeth bones and stuff, maybe even today, because it's an easy thing. But for now, just so we can open his mouth. I mean, yeah, this works. To the extent that we can expect with automatic weights. The mouth seems rectangular. Will we fix that? I'm not sure. It's something you can, of course, do in many different ways. Like, what should the default mouth shape be when the character opens their mouth? This is just what I picked for SpriteFry, and I never had the animators complain about it, I think, or at least I don't remember. So it's kind of up to them. But if they wanted, then like this could be parented to the top by default, and then you will get like a smiley open mouth by default. But I think this is like the best default in the sense that it's the most logical from a technical perspective, because it's just the lower lips are parented to the jaw. So from a technical perspective, this is like very straightforward. But yeah, from an artistic perspective, you might want this to be here, and that can be done. It's just not something anyone brought up, so I haven't done it. Okay, now we have a jaw. Let's make some tweaks here, because this bone, for example, should also be parented to it. And then maybe I'll tweak some weights and some other stuff, because for example these guys maybe shouldn't come down 100% with the jaw, but stay a bit more in the center, and these guys should also maybe come down with the jaw, but not by 100%, just by a little bit. But maybe I don't want to go into that much detail on this yet, because as I said, I want to focus on the eyebrows and the eyes today. But at the very least, let's parent this guy to this guy and regen. I'm starting now with Blender, and I'm getting a lot of inspiration from you. You guys are very good. Thanks. Good work, me. Thank you. Day by day, I'm losing confidence. Hit the gym. Great. Doperati work? I don't know what that means, but I kind of like the way the word looks. Everybody losing their confidence. Keep it up, guys. Keep up losing confidence. That's how you do it. That's how you become a pro with zero confidence. Maybe my best tip is, if you don't have confidence, just pretend that you do. It works great. Okay, so it's a jaw, you know. Let's move on. It's not much, but it's honest work. Alright, so what I want is eyebrows. So what I want for the eyebrows, oh, I also said I would fix the bone rotations, because this one, for example, seems a bit wrong. Not too far, just a bit. So maybe let's do a bit of that, which is going to be super boring, but maybe it won't take forever. So what I mean by that is, and this is kind of important to get right before creating actions and stuff. So I just want to align the bone rolls to match the direction of the surface normal, so that when I'm creating actions, because remember, these bones are mostly not going to be for the animators, they're just in terms of who's going to use them and work with them, it's going to be me as the rigger. And so just to make my own life a little bit less painful in the future when I'm creating actions and such, it would be nice if the local axes of the bones align with the skin, since you usually want to slide the bones along the skin as much as possible. And I should also, I don't know why I didn't already do that, because I'm too busy talking and I'm not thinking, but I should have enabled axes for this. And I should have decided on which axis should point which way. And to do that, I will open some other files, as I usually do, some older rigs, because these kind of things like which axis should point outwards, I never keep in mind. I always just look at my last rig and try to be consistent with it. Last rig, which, well, there's the thing, it could be Ellie or it could be Rain. On the last stream I decided it makes more sense to be consistent with Rain, I think, even though she's an older rig. We'll see if that holds up. Okay, I think on Rain all the bones were actually align to world space, which is also a thing that you can do. But I think it only has a benefit if you're doing motion capture stuff. Otherwise, I don't think so. Okay, but so if rain was world aligned, and I no longer believe in world aligned, then let's use Ellie as reference instead. Looks like the bottom teeth should be further back. I'll check on that in a bit. But if do you mean that it looked different in the modeling stage, or do you mean design-wise? Because if it's design-wise, then it's a problem for the art team. But if it's, I'll check how it looks on the modeling phase, and if I messed it up, then I'll fix it. So for Ellie, which axis is pointing outwards? Z out. Cool. That's all I needed. Except this is not Z out. Interesting. Oh, so much for being consistent, huh? Okay, I have honestly no idea what's going on with Ellie's bone oriented. Oh, I know, because... Okay, yeah. I was very confused by making this, I think. No, maybe not. Maybe it is all Z inside except for the lower lid. No, just this one bone. Does it just happen to be very oddly oriented randomly? And everyone else is Z inwards? This one is Z outwards. I don't know what I was doing, dude. Let me check another sprites character. Oh, but this is also old Ellie. Oh, but we don't have the sprites SVN. It's fine. You know why it's fine? Actually, let me do that on this screen so you guys can see it. It's fine because we can go on studio.blender.org. I think I'm gonna have to log in. Org. Damn, the internet is taking its time. I don't know what my password is. That's the one. And then we can download Victoria. And enable some axes. Okay, so I think the system was, it's like Z out above the lips and Z in below the lips. And there is a reason for that. Because if I'm correct, that should be because if you select both lips and you rotate on local X, then it gives you this. So that's why they are opposing. So that's fine. And then I decided that these should be consistent with the lower lips rather than the rest of the face, which is probably also fine. Okay, I understand what I was doing. Let's do the same. Oh, and first I said I would check on those teeth. Oh yeah, that's definitely, you're totally right, that is screwed up. Gosh darn it. Then we will kill Ellie and open another snow. And we will see where those teeth were supposed to be. Sort by dates, not a blend. That seems more like it. But how did they end up shifting? Oh, this is scary. Oh, maybe these are wrong. Aha! Okay. Actually, the upper teeth were in the wrong place. And I think that's because of, like, that's because the head bone has shifted due to some iteration, which might have happened off stream even. So I got some feedback from Hjalti and Rick to tweak the head pivot a bit, which I did say on stream it would totally happen, and then it happened. And then I forgot that when you change a bone, when you're using bone parenting, then everything gets messed up. So thank you for catching that. I think it was fuck David. Yes. Thanks, David. Or fuck. Which name should I use? Oh, and now I unparented the teeth. Ah! Poor Snow. Okay. That works, and that works. Hey, look at that. The jaw is not parented to the head. I forgot about that, didn't I? Easy fix, of course. Did you use Cloud Rig in the rigging of Sprite Fright characters? Yes, yes. Sprite Fright is all Cloud Rig. The Settlers is also all Cloud Rig, and Coffee Run is also all Cloud Rig except for the main character, which is Rain. So Rain was actually my first and last character at the studio that didn't use Cloud Rig. Can anybody find and use those rigs? Yes. The Sprite Fright rigs are available for Blender Studio subscribers. And they are right here. If you go to studio.blender.org and then you log in and sign up. Sheesh, sorry about the slowness today. Then you can go to characters up here and get access to all this stuff. And here's Rain as well. Rain is of course free, but there's more stuff. And the Settlers characters aren't here for some reason, but that's on our to-do list. Oh, and the sprite will be published soon, but not yet. This one. I should kill some blenders before I get confused. So this is fine. I'll keep Victoria around, I guess, for now. Okay, back to fixing bone orientations. So I said that upper lip and such should be Z. See, I already don't remember. I think it's Z out. Yeah. Z is pointing out. Perfect. So you want it like... No, the way it is fine. And then maybe I want to tilt it a bit, but we'll see about that when we do the lip roll, which is future. This is kind of hard to see. Also, let me know if I'm too quiet or too close to the mic. I know it's always a tricky game between being audible and being obnoxious ASMR style sound. That wasn't really a sentence, but you know what I mean. Now on this one, we want Z inside, so I'll do Ctrl R 180. And on this one as well. I want to sit up, and then I'm probably going to be out of frame. A bit. Good enough. Okay. Okay, let's tilt it a little bit. Maybe this amount of tilt is probably too much, but whatever. Okay, Z out. guess the center is also Z out. Can these axes be a bit bigger? No, they cannot. Depends on bone scale. Then I'll just make the bone a bit smaller. Yeah. Maybe I should just start by... No, I don't think we'll make a whole lot of difference. But I will do all the center ones in one go because that's all going to be the same. Control R 90. All the Z's point outwards, and I should hide the ones that I've already done so I know what I'm doing. And I have a keybind set up to Control Shift F to mirror the selection, not only in pose mode but also in edit mode. I don't know why it's not in edit mode by default. At least I think it isn't. And underneath the lips we want Z inwards, like that. And some of these rolls are not too important, but like for the lip roll, it's super important, because when your animators touch the lips directly, which is the one place that they will touch directly because it's such a high importance area, they want those bone rolls to be consistent and to make sense. But for the rest of these areas, like these cheeks and stuff, that's just for myself, to minimize the pain of posing these actions in the future. Z inside. But to be fair, like, you could argue that the time that this takes to do is not worth it for the benefit that it brings, because the benefit is quite small. But hey, I think we're going for a pretty high standard here with snow. So might as well go all in, you know. Okay, I think all the rest is going to be Z out. Maybe I can do a bunch of these together. Not really. What ifs? Sorry if you're gonna hear some pings. That was my ping, ignore. I'm gonna mute my ping so you guys don't get confused. These bones I shouldn't only roll, but I should also tilt them to kind of line up with the direction of the edge flow here. So let me do that real quick. And I mean the same is true for some of the other bones as well. This is going to be kind of annoying to work with. I mean, I'll just make these bones a bit smaller in a bit. So otherwise it seems like they will be in the way. Sorry guys, I warn you, this will be pretty boring. That's just rigging. I don't know who's crazy enough to tune into these streams anyways. But apparently, if you're hearing this, then you are. So you only have yourself to blame. And now I know my rig sucks. It doesn't have that many bones. I'm not sure about that. This is if you saw the Sprite Fright rigs that I opened earlier, like Victoria has much fewer bones, like incredibly few. With Snow, I'm actually experimenting to see if it will be better if I put a lot more bones, and I don't know the answer yet. I'll let you know when it's done. So normally in past rigs, I would have fewer bones, but I wanted to get a little bit of experimentation in here, even if it's not a lot. What do I think about the last rig, which wasn't rigged by me? Spring. It was rigged by Juan Pablo with BlendRig. I used to use BlendRig before I came up with my own stuff. BlendRig is complex and huge, has a lot of buttons. It's very powerful. But yeah, I wanted something a bit more focused and simple. I don't know what Juan Pablo is up to now. I don't know what Juan Pablo is up to these days. I don't know if BlendRig is still being updated or so. If not, then that's a shame. But yeah, I don't know. I used it back then. It was fine. It was a big monster in terms of complexity, but my rigs also turned into big monsters of complexity over time, so I guess it's kind of inevitable. But also I haven't tried animating with Spring, so I can't really comment on it from like Jesus, can't talk. I can't comment on it from an animator's perspective, which is the only perspective that matters. This forehead area might be a good place to show off why I'm bothering to put in this sort of time into this sort of thing. So if I set my my orientation to local, and then I do GY, then I can immediately move the bones on their local axis, which is what I'm tweaking now. I'm tweaking their local axis by changing their orientation in edit mode. That's what I'm doing, right? And so if it lines up with the skin, then I can just basically, I will be able to raise his forehead skin up and down a lot easier than if it did not align, because I can just press GY and I know that it will slide along his skin. until there is some detail in his face, of course. So yeah, that's why we're doing this. And so I shall continue. And for the forehead, it's actually quite beneficial because it's such a large flat area that you will really get some time saved. But then again, you also invest a bunch of time, so it's kind of subjective whether doing this is even worthwhile. But I think it is. Now with these bones, there's a question of, do you align them to these bottom ones or these top ones? And I'm going to totally arbitrarily decide. I have no idea which way. These don't move at all. These literally never move. I will tilt them like this. By the way, it would probably also be possible to make this process a lot faster with some scripting, like, you know, snap to vertex, snap to edge, etc. Make it more precise, more fast. I just never bothered, I guess. But it could be done. But I don't know. I still want the bones to be inside the mesh a bit, because it just feels right. So I guess it would still be possible. You would just want to then snap stuff to the vertex, then snap the head to the edge, and then do the pushing inside at the end of the process all together. That would be much better. Next time, guys. Next time I'll do that. But maybe there's a point to be made there about always thinking of how somebody else's process could be optimized, because I try to optimize my workflow a lot, but even still, there's so many other ways that it could be faster or better, more precise, etc. So don't think that just because I do something a certain way, it's the best way. Absolutely not. I have no idea what I'm doing. And I'm all self-taught and just learned this all from trial and error, so that's not to say that's a good thing either. If I had a Pixar rigger behind me with 20 years of rigging experience, they would probably cry. Because of how badly I'm doing everything. And slowly. That's probably not true. The Pixar guys are probably even slower because they have so much money to throw at it. When you're done here, do you just parent with automatic weights and it just works, or do you do a lot of manual weight painting? I do a lot of manual weight painting. The keyboards. Oh, I hope nobody is allergic to finger cracking noises, because I do that a lot and it's cold. which means I do it even more. And someone was just saying the keyboard sounds very relaxing. So if you're allergic to finger cracking and you're being relaxed by keyboard tapping, and then suddenly you have to cringe at the sound of pops, then I'm sorry. How much do I like rigging with Blender? It's the only software I rigged with, so I don't have much of a point of reference. I don't know. It feels kind of intuitive to me, I guess, but also limited but intuitive. And there's a lot of bad defaults, and I think it's terrible for new users. It should be this way instead. If I was Ton Roosendaal, then I would go to the old school way of like embracing the giant shortcut cheat sheet way of doing things. Like you guys remember in 2.7 we had way more default shortcuts. I would double down on that. Just make an insane amount of shortcuts. Yeah. Because we already have the mode system and the editors, like you can have so many overlapping shortcuts. I don't think you need separate systems for different workflows necessarily, like separate key configurations for different workflows. You can just have one massive, incredibly optimized set of shortcuts that encompasses every workflow. But then again, I also wouldn't make it industry compatible, which is where the subjectivity comes in. I would make it fast. The industry is not fast. Oops, wait, these were already done. These are facing inward. See, this is why I should have hidden the stuff that I have already done. And I said I would, and then I didn't. But I mean, once they're aligned, flipping them is much easier than aligning them again. So yeah, these should all be, well, maybe not. Only these, I think, should be rolled by 180. And the reason for that is, so as I mentioned before, I want these lips to be opposite in the roll so that you can, when you're on local axis, you can roll on local X and they will both roll inwards. But then if you translate on local X, the lower lip and the one underneath it, you also want that to go in the same direction, all the way down. And at some point you have to break that rule, which I think for me is gonna be here. So you see, there it goes opposite. But it's quite a different area of the face, so I'm okay with that. Which way should this bone go? Yeah, I'll tilt it forward. I'll leave this as it is. What about this guy? I think he should tilt sideways a little bit. Yeah. Does that make sense though? Sure, why not? Right. I think that. Oh wait, I think I forgot the eyelids and these guys. Okay, not done yet. Not done. Not quite. And the eyebrows as well. Oh, but well, the the eyebrows are tricky. Because they need to go up and down, and the direction they want to go when they go up is different from the direction they want to go when they want to go down, which I know is not a sentence, but you know what I mean. Let me read some chat because it's been a while. Seems tedious to orient all these bones. Isn't there an automated way to do it? I'm sure you could come up with a fully or fairly automatic way. Yeah, you would just have to scan the mesh, snap to nearest vertex. Maybe you would have to roughly align at least the rotation of the bone, and then find the nearest edge, snap to it, and then push inside. So yes, it will be possible to automate. I just didn't bother, but maybe I will one day. It would probably be worth it, to be honest. Let's see. Can the same rig be used for face tracking? I'm not sure. I've never tried. I think so, because I'm assuming the way that works is you end up with some 2D coordinates from a camera's tracking, and then you could slap that onto the coordinates of the bones, but in that case you would want the bones to align with the world, which is something I mentioned earlier. So I think if you wanted to use this for mocap, you would actually have all the bones. Oh boy. Wait, not like that. Not like that. Not like that either. Not like that either. Oh. Yeah, wait, why doesn't it work? Oh, because I'm on normal and I want global. You would want the bones to look like this and like this, all perfectly aligned with each other and uniform, if you wanted to do tracking. But I do not. This is pure pain entertainment. Hell yeah. Soldering while listening to these clicks in the background. Watch the soldering printed bits. What is the best way to start learning rigging? Rig something, yeah, start rigging, exactly. That's literally it. Like maybe start with something simple. I find that rigging a cylinder or like, dude, rig a spoon and I dare you to animate that spoon to be cool, because you can absolutely do that. Like you can put so much character into, a ball or a spoon. If you look at like pro animators in their like animation tutorials, they can do some crazy stuff with simple stuff. You can rig a stickman as well. Oh, the chat just jumped away. What's our goal? The goal is to rig snow. For today, though, today's goals are, the one was to fix bone rolls and orientations, which is almost done. to do some basic bone hierarchy, which included the jaw thing that we started with. I'll also want to set up the ears because it's pretty easy, and eyebrows. And then if I have time, then I will also do a blink. And we can also slap a cheek lattice in there. That's also very easy. And that's cool to show off. So everyone who's watching passively, look out for when I start screaming, look at this cheek lattice tech if you are not aware, because then I'm going to show cool stuff that you have to know if you want to be a epic rigger, because it's super awesome. But I won't do it right now. You just have to keep watching. Haha. You just have to wait for the sponsored ads. Just kidding, we don't have such a thing. You can enable snapping to face for easy movement. I know, but I actually want the bones to be a little bit inside the face. That's why I'm not using snapping right now. Because if I did this, then the bone is kind of on the surface of the face, which is probably fine, but I prefer it to be a little bit inside. Is it possible to create a realistic 3D movie without having an animated style? Oh, you mean in Blender? Yeah, of course. I'm sure people have done it. It's just we haven't done it. Maybe we'll also do a realistic thing at some point, but there is nothing planned currently. But I don't see why not. But the thing about realism is just, it's fucking expensive, man. There's no two ways around it. If you want to make something realistic, you're going to have to spend so much time on details that, yeah, just crazy details. The ZXC should always look outward. Yeah, that's just something I decided on for consistency, because then, for example, if I want to move all of these bones along the surface of the skin, I can just, well, then I go on local orientation. Sorry that this button on my keyboard doesn't really work, and I can just move them all together. Yeah, snapping again, been over that. Blender will get there, it's evolved so much in the past few years. I mean, I think rendering wise, Blender is there. You know, Blender can render super realistic stuff. Pipeline wise, maybe it's not there. But then again, I mean, Tangent pulled it off. If they can do it, then anyone can do it. You know, to scale up a Blender pipeline to 400 people. Damn it. The chat jumps away when I scroll too fast. Oh, hey, Rick. Oh, are you trying to ping me? I muted you. Yes, you append ch-snow from snow.rig.land. That's accurate. You can ask Bo. He knows some stuff. He knows lots of stuff. Any hidden tips and tricks you didn't want anyone to know about and finally ready to reveal? No, we are very open source. We share everything. That is why I am live streaming right now, to show all the hidden tips and tricks. Have you seen Dead Dows's work? It's so cool, some of the 2D 3D animations that you can do in Blender. I might have seen it, but the name doesn't ring a bell. Feel free to link some of it though. Are you making a new studio animation? Yeah, the guys are working on like a small thing, but no spoilers, I guess. And then as for like a bigger, like the next open movie, that's future. That's future. We'll get started on that next year, I think. Am I using Blender 3.0 times 3? Don't spam, please. No, I'm using Blender 3.1. Here's the splash screen. We are on 3.1 alpha. We are always on the latest Blender. What's your favorite bone? The bendy bone. The sprite character has disconnectable limbs that can also dynamically move around the body. What do you call this technique and how do you do it? I couldn't find any information about it anywhere. So if I recall correctly, the sprite limbs connected with shrink wrap constraints, I think. Because we had, I'm having a hard time remembering, because we had 2 solutions back in R&D, and then we decided on one, and I think that was the one that we decided on. Yeah, maybe I won't check for now. But yeah, it's shrink wrap. There's a bridge mesh between the sprite's torso and arms, and this tech relies on the surfaces being super simple. Like the sprite's torso is just a tapered cylinder, basically. So yeah, there's a bridge mesh between the torso and the arm is also just a tube that ends eventually, and the bridge shrink wraps onto both of them. Or maybe it's just the arm that shrink wraps onto the torso. That would probably also work. Oh, but then it wouldn't be detachable. So yeah, that's what I said first. And then on top of the shrink wrap, there's a normal transfer to hide the seam. And that's about it. But we had a pretty hard time making it so that things don't poke through the bridge mesh. So it's not a flawless technique. It's quite limited, I would say. So keep that in mind. But yeah, shrink wrap and data transfer modifier is what it came down to. The sprite rig will be released soon-ish, like this week, maybe next week. I don't know. It's already uploaded. It's just waiting for Francesco to do the marketing side of things, you know. So when it's up there, you can download it and check it out. JD Animations. Holy shit! I know your name. I know. Oh, dude, didn't you animate on Overwatch? I swear I've seen your reel. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe you're someone else. But I have seen your name. Okay, I'll stalk you later. Cycles is amazing. I know, man. I know. How will a lattice work with all these bones? Well, that's the cool thing about the lattice. You'll see later. It doesn't care about how many bones you have. I mean, the lattice deformation will come after the armature modifier. So yeah, the lattice doesn't care about anything. It's crazy. Could I rig quadruped character with cloud rig? I'm not sure. I haven't tried. Maybe not. You can certainly try. Let me know how it goes. Well, the thing is, I don't have any specific animal rig types, so you would have to just see if you can make do with the human designed limbs, I guess. And maybe for some animals that's fine. Who knows? I Counter-Strike 1.6 like 9 years ago, and it's definitely so much different. Hell yeah. I also come from the modding scene, you could say. I think a lot of people do, actually. I'm making a face rig with just shape keys, links with drivers and bones. This is wrong? No, that sounds fine. Yeah, you hook up shape keys to bones. That's totally one way to rig a face. Just keep at it. Will you use the same number of bones and bone placements if the character was to use motion capture? I never rigged for mocap, but I will try to answer this with some intuition. I don't think so. Yeah, I think for mocap, you can just go crazy and just track even more. I'm not sure. I haven't worked with mocap. That's the problem. But yeah, I feel like the amount is. I will go with this amount, but maybe different placement. Like a more even placement. Like here, this is uneven on purpose to match the topology. I will maybe even those out a bit. Please do a 5-minute walkthrough on how to rig the GiB model with the flat mouth and the eyes. The video which covers this is just too short to follow well. Yeah. I'm not sure if I want to go back that far. But GiB's mouth was quite technical, so I don't think that would be a 5-minute video. I think there was also like remesh and boolean involved in cutting away the right parts of the mouth, and there was also parallax in the shader for the tongue. Like, GiB's mouth is kind of insane. I would say either just copy paste it or don't use it. It's pretty in depth from what I remember, which is not much. I did a crab with Cloud Rig. Yes, you did, Rick. Yes, you did. Is there a video about the complete creation of the bone structure with all the parent connections, constraints, and so on? Well, for the face, this live stream is that, I guess. For the body, no, because I just placed these bones and then pressed the button, and that gave me these 100,000 bones. So I don't place the bones one by one anymore, except for some of the face. But I'd like to write some code also for some of the face stuff that I want to do, which is also part of the reason why I don't want to work too much on the jaw, because I have a design finally written down for how I could possibly modularize some of the mouth mechanisms here. So I'll try to do that maybe this week, but that's going to be off stream, just coding, and if I succeed, then I'll show you guys the result on stream. Do you think there is no only one way to rig? No, of course not. There's many ways to rig the same thing. When will the fabric breakage come? Being repeated. I do not know what you mean. Like physics? Never. Nobody's working on cloud physics right now. Nobody. Which is sad, because of course everybody loves cloud physics, but that's the truth. Who is responsible for rig and animation development? I guess about 1/4 of Dr. Sibrin. He's the owner of the animation module, and then there are some developers also doing animation related stuff. Some volunteers. Yeah, that's it. But yeah, at the end of the day, not a lot of people. Not as much as I would like, which is hundreds. Give me hundreds of developers. If you want that, when dragging 3 controls simultaneously, they form a curve as you would. Not sure what you're referring to. But anyways, that was a lot of comments. Let's get back to it. I have no idea what I was doing anymore. Oh, I didn't finish orienting the eyelids, I think. What is this bone doing here? Oh, I turned that downwards. Do I want that downwards? I don't think so. I think there might be a similar situation here with the eyelid as there was with the lips, where I want either the top or the bottom eyelid to be consistent with its surroundings, but maybe not both, and I think maybe not the bottom, because the top will move a lot more in a lot more interesting ways. So yeah, let me enable the axes again, and like that. We're almost done with the boring bone orientation crap. And then we can move on to other boring stuff. Doesn't make too much of a difference. So I should also create these extra bones for the lips, like I did for the lips. I should create these guys for the eyelids, but I'll do that in a bit. Actually, these bones will move along this part of the skin more often. I would no, that's a lie. Never mind. Yeah, I think they will move downwards rather. Shouldn't all these be... just these two be one edge loop lower? We'll see, whatever. Alright. That's eyelids. Okay, how deep do we want these eyebrow bones? Not this deep, I reckon. And I do think we want to align it with this edge loop, kind of. But that's just because the edge loop happens to line up with the direction that I would expect the eyebrow to slide when Snow gets angry. Should also be more consistent as to what edge loop these eyebrow bones are going to be on. So, well, okay, yeah. So right now it seems I focused on these edge loops of the actual eyebrow mesh, which is fine. Yeah, that's fine. I just won't touch them. Oops, this is the wrong thing. There we go. Yeah, see, because if I try to move it somewhere else, then I end up pushing it off where it's supposed to be. Although, yeah, so the question then becomes, for something like this, do I want it to be at the end of the actual eyebrow? And the answer is yes, as opposed to the nearest vertex on the face. That vertex is not that important, since it's going to be hidden by the eyebrow anyways. So the actual eyebrow is what matters most, which also means I shouldn't have adjusted this guy. This I didn't touch. Why am I doing this, trying to look at a black wireframe on a black mesh, when I could just change the thingy to object color and actually see what I'm doing. Look at that. Markedly better. Okay. And that's all the stuff oriented the way that I want, more or less. So let's make those eyelid bones that I mentioned that I apparently didn't do before. And to do that, let me isolate these guys. And then let's name this eyelid upper 1.L. Two. And 3. And yeah, I'll still try to keep the bones perpendicular, or yeah, I guess perpendicular to the mesh normal, roughly. But for eyelids, that rule might get broken, just depending on whatever seems most convenient to create the blink shapes and just whatever feels right, I guess. Because the thing is, these will be exposed to animators, and they might even use them sometimes. So that's more important than any kind of consistency or whatever. So artistic reasons beat technical reasons, basically. Okay, and then these guys will be called eyelid lower 1.L. 2, 3, oops, 3. And then we want the corners. Oh, and the corners here are not in the same exact spot, because I don't want them to be. So that's good. Oops. Almost the same exact spot though. Maybe it is okay for them to be at the same exact spot. Nah, I think it's less of a headache for me if they aren't. And what I mean by that is whether they should have just one control for the corner of the eyelid, or two for the bottom corner of the eyelid and the top corner of the eyelid. And that's how I did it before, and I think that's how I'm gonna keep doing it, because then it's easier to separate the rotations, which is important when blinking. You only want to affect the top half of the eyelid and not the bottom half. Although that does mean that my names are wrong, because I want to bump the number up by 1. So instead of 3, this will be 4. Instead of 2, this will be 3. Instead of 1, this will be 2. And this guy is the new number 1. And so this guy goes here. Of course, issue is that these are going to be right on top of each other, so it's going to be a nightmare to navigate this area, but such is life, I guess. And this is also number 4, 3, 2. 1. And also the orientation of this bone doesn't really matter, because this bone pretty much never translates here at the corner of the eye. It does, however, rotate. So maybe just to make it less of a nightmare, it would make sense to like turn them away from each other, so I have a way to select them a bit easier. But it doesn't really matter. I just select them with Alt right click. There you go, upper, lower. That's fine. Oops. Wait, does it work in pose mode? It should work in pose mode. Oh, there you go. Yeah, good enough. Maybe I'll offset their bone shapes or so to make it easier to select. Whatever. They're also a bit too massive right now. So let me tweak that. Oh, well, I could scale down their actual size, which I should do with a lot of things probably. And then the inner corners as well. So this is where the top goes. Eyelid upper number 5. Point it inwards at the eye. Like so. And then lower number 5. Also pointed inwards at the eyes, like so. Whew. All right, chat, let's catch up. Why is Blender called Blender? I don't know, man. Because it blends all the art together. Or something like that. Just getting the live stream question. Are those bones? Yep. All the little cubes things are bones. I'm glad you liked Sprite Fright if you did. Soldering up a hotkey keyboard is like a one-handed one I'm using with my drawing tablet. Okay, that sounds interesting. Do you have demo videos of your past works? It will be interesting to see. Not sure what you mean by demo videos, and like if by past works you mean pre-Blender, then no. And if you mean, I mean not pre-Blender but pre-Blender Studio, then no. And if you mean the old Blender Studio stuff like Coffee Run and Settlers, there is some stuff on the studio website in the production logs and such. It would be nice to be able to rename multiple bones and number them using a hashtag placeholder in just one go. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I would just make the duplication logic a bit smarter for non-data blocks, or even for data blocks, so that it doesn't just slap a .001 mindlessly. I actually have a patch that does that, but it breaks some stuff. Instead, it could search for a number already in the name and just increment it. But hey, it's hard to change things that are so old in Blender. Alright, now for the orientation of the actual eyelids themselves, I'm not too sure what I want. The twist here doesn't really matter. What axis am I on? Normal. We'll just stick with Z out for everything. We just keep that consistency. Just because there's not much of a reason to do anything else, I guess. I mean, these bones are mostly going to be moving up and down. Well, yeah, to be fair, this could be rotated a bit better then for that purpose. Something like this. And this. So I guess I want the x-axis to point along the surface of the eye. Apparently. We'll try that and see if it actually works. Wait, the x-axis along the surface of the eye? Okay, maybe that's not true at the top. Okay, yeah, the top would want x-axis away from the surface of the eye, which is a bit trickier. Let me hide the face for a second. Oh, and the eyebrows. Okay, I don't know if this is any better, but let's give it a shot. Oh, we got an error. Lip top R.001. That indeed should not exist. Let's see, where is it even? What? Why is nothing working today? Oh wait, maybe it did work, I just didn't see it. Aha! Oh right, because we didn't resymmetrize the face, so let's do that. So I'm just gonna grab everything here. Ah, this is awkward. But I guess that works. Delete that. Select this and symmetrize. And generate. Isn't there a Shift F2 function for that? That being batch renaming bones. Yeah, there's batch rename, but it's still a lot of clicks to do something that should require 0 clicks sometimes. And the UI for that is pretty confusing. Like it's slow enough that I know about it, I know how to use it, and I still don't often use it. Sometimes I do, but yeah, the task is just so complex. You have to remove the 001 from the end of the bone name, then replace it with some other stuff. Actually, for incrementing numbers, it doesn't even work. Because that's just too specific of a functionality. Okay, so right, I didn't parent stuff yet. Let me do that. So we will do the same stuff on the eyelids that we did on the lips yesterday. In fact, I just copied the constraint. So we'll use Constraint Retargeting, which just happens on its own when I generate with Cloud Rig. So I'm gonna copy selected constraint, copy this one, and then I'll change the bone name to not this one, but this one. So bam. So when this rig gets generated, this constraint will be moved to this bone, which is the beginning of the bottom eyelid. And this constraint will just parent it to this bone, which is what I want. So that's good. Okay, and then I'll copy the same constraint all over the place and change the targets. And for the last bone in the chain, we need the second one, a second constraint, which I will prefix with tail dash to indicate that I want this constraint to be moved to the yellow bone at the end of the chain, or at the end of the bone, which is this one, rather than the beginning of the bone, which will be this one. So let's test that out. I might have the wrong hierarchy for this, we'll see. Is it complaining? It's complaining about quaternion rotations. Oh boy, yeah, I'll fix that. But nothing else, so that should mean that if we get rid of all this mess, this should now be owning that, and this owns that, yes. So this guy ended up getting the Armature Constraint, except it's not here, but a parent helper is created for it. So if we jump to the parent helper, there's the Armature Constraint, and then here's the other one, which is the one that was prefixed with tail. How many bones are there at the moment? Wait, I guess we can just do statistics. This one has 1,300 and the Metallic has 287. All right. So these weights will, by the way, need a lot of love because this looks like a complete disaster. But that's to be expected, I suppose. For now, let's do the same constraint shenanigans on the top eyelid. So instead of lower one, we want upper one. Copy it all over the place. And increase the number of the bone. And then give me the tail constraint. And instead of lower, we want upper. And then I also want to symmetrize this. And regenerate. When rigging for game assets, does the complexity of the rig matter if I blame the animation? If I bake the animation? I think for games what might matter is what kind of transformations the game supports. Like, it probably does not have bendy bones, so you would have to make sure that your rig doesn't rely on bendy bones either, like mine does, you know, for getting these kinds of bends. But also some games, well, actually, I think you can't even really bake skewing. So if you have skewing, then that's probably not even going to bake at all. Because as far as I know, there's no way to store skewing on a transformation, a single transformation at least. But I mean, yeah, that's about it. Just, I think, yeah, you shouldn't worry about skewing because it doesn't really happen, I guess. But I would say if you have like crazy squash and stretch, then, well, I mean, you gotta do your R&D, find out what the engine supports. And even if the engine supports it, you have to find a file format that also supports it. But yeah, avoid bendy bones for sure. Okay. So our eyelids are parented, which is good-ish. But actually something I want to do now is hide these old eyelid bones, or the original eyelid bones, I guess, by shoving them onto the unused layer. So I'm gonna come to my Rigify type, bone organization, stretch controls, put them on unused and remove them from stretch. And I was holding Alt while doing that, and I had the opposite side selected, so this should have affected everyone. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so all the yellow bones are now shoved away to the secret unused layer. I should do the same to these. In that case. And then I'm happy with this stuff. The next stuff. Let's do some more hierarchy stuff. Yeah, actually no. Well, kind of. Let's do eyebrow stuff. Something I want to do for the eyebrows is to have two sets of controls. One will control both the skin and the eyebrow itself, and each of those will have a child which only controls the eyebrow. So if you want to move the eyebrow without moving the skin, then you should be able to do that, because the skin will be a lot less flexible compared to this free-floating mesh. So let's do that, but actually first I want to distinguish these eyebrow bones. Let's give them a face primary bone group, so they're nice and red, and maybe even some fancy shape. But maybe we'll just squash these cubes a bit. Now that we have these cool new XYZ scale options, might as well use them. And another benefit of having the axes lined up is you can offset the bone shapes, and they will all offset in the same direction. But maybe I shouldn't do that, because that just makes the pivot point feel kind of off, I guess. Maybe it's not too bad. I'll leave that for now. And then what I want to do, actually, these bone names are a lie. I want to, and this time I will use the better name. I want to, instead of calling these eyebrows, I would call them eyebrow underscore skin, just to indicate that these will be the ones that control both the skin and the eyebrow itself. And now I'm going to duplicate all of these, slide them a bit forward, and then rename those. To just eyebrow. And remove the 001. See, it takes so many clicks to do this. And then change their bone group. We'll make it green, maybe. Sure, whatever. And we will make them a bit smaller. And maybe also tweak their positions a bit. They don't have to perfectly align with the skin versions. Then parent them to the other guys. Oops, not like that though. Maybe I'll also make them a bit smaller and thicker in edit mode so they are easier to select. Which will mess up their bone shape, which is a shame. You know what, let's just make them cubes maybe. I don't like these weird squashed shapes as much as I hoped. Meh. Good old cubes. Can't go wrong with them. Okay, so let's parent each of those. Oh boy. I just realized that I'm on the wrong rig. It happens, it happens. This is fine, I won't redo everything. I will instead simply separate these guys. Oh god, I can't see what the hell I'm doing. And it never selects what I would like it to select. Oh, frick. Okay, there's the Demeter rig. There's my bones. And then I join them. And that operator should preserve the bone groups without destroying everything. In theory. Oh, but the bones weren't renamed. Oh, how long have I been on the wrong armature? Oh, Jesus. Okay. This is fine. This is fine, guys. We just do some damage control here. Okay, seriously, these freaking eyebrows being in the way are not ideal. Oh, I should also get rid of the axes, which I don't care about anymore. Okay, so we redo the batch rename. And we redo the bone group assignment. And then we continue where I thought I was, which is parenting the bones. Awesome. And then let's generate. How to get a character like Gabby? Yeah. I mean, maybe I can try to write a more detailed comment about it. But a lot of the rig relies on shading as well, so it would be a big undertaking. Why don't you use Rigify VR? It is. This is. Any chance you have the add-ons and displays the press keys? Yes, but it disables autosave, and I'm too scared to use it. Sorry. If you move a bone and drag the mesh, the other bone will no longer be in the position of the vertex that moved. How can you make the second bone follow the mesh and at the same time modify it? You're talking about lattice stuff. This goes back to lattices. The answer is you don't. You just lattices will not affect the rig at all. And if you want to use the lattice in your animation, you would do it at the end of the animation workflow, so that you don't care about the rig anymore. You only care about your lattices at that point, and then you're fine. Ah, crap. Okay, so something funny just happened, which is that we assigned the auto weights when these bones were called eyebrow, and now I want them to be called eyebrow skin. But the way Rigify works is, of course, when I rename those bones from eyebrow to eyebrow skin, I rename them on the meta rig, not on the actual rig, which deforms the mesh, which means that the vertex groups were not renamed. So to fix that, I'm gonna go on the deform layer, and I'm gonna do something funny, which is to just delete the eyebrow skin bones, the deforming eyebrow skin bones, then select the deforming eyebrow bones, and then run batch rename on those from eyebrow to eyebrow skin, which will also rename the vertex groups, because this is the correct armature that actually deforms the thing. Then I'll just regenerate the rig to get my bones back that I deleted. There we go. So now this deforms the skin, and this one does not, which is good, because I want this to deform only the eyebrow. Which is right here. Is this parented to the armature? Yes, it is. Does it have weights? Yes, it does. Right, we can get rid of these. And we will instead auto weight them to only def eyebrow bones. Can I do that by... Let's do it the pro way, even though I would probably just do this manually, but we can do def dash eyebrow star. That's not going to work actually, because it's going to select the skin as well. God damn it, whatever. We'll select them one by one. Our deforming eyebrow bones. And then assign automatic weights. There we go. I'll sharpen up these weights a little bit real quick. I don't know if I have symmetry enabled on this mesh. No, I did not. That's fine. We'll do it again. It's just a few brush strokes. And now I enabled symmetry, so in the future it will be good. There we go. Okay. So this one moves the skin plus the eyebrow. This one only moves the eyebrow. Perfect. Super simple. But that is one of the things that had to be done. And now it is done. Something else we can do really quickly is make a master control for it, and to do, or actually two of them. Well, just the one for now. And to do that, I'll just take a piece of this eyebrow to use as a bone widget. I'll just duplicate this guy and unlock its transforms. And let's put the origin of this somewhere, I don't know, there. Oops. And then set origin. Control-Shift-C. That's what I was pressing. Why didn't it work? Control-Shift-C. There you go. Origin to cursor. And we'll name this object widget eyebrow. Well, widget snow eyebrow dot L, I guess. And then we go on the Demeter Rig and make a new bone, and we will just assign that widget, and it's tiny. Huh. Let's scale this up until the dimensions roughly hit 1 meter. So like, you take the biggest number, which is this one, and then scale 1 divided by that number, and it doesn't work. Huh. Eh? That should work, right? Invalid. Oh, because it has the letter M. Still wrong. What? Oh, okay. So you copy this without the letter M, then scale asterisk so that you're in actual mathematics mode, and then 1 over Control V. There you go. Biggest dimension is 1 meter. You apply the scale, and where's the guy? There's the guy. Still not big enough, so we can just make him bigger. I'm surprised that it's that small. So this is a default cube. Which dimension of this eyebrow? Oh, a default cube is 2 by 2. Even so. Okay, yeah, I see. Okay, whatever. It's just smaller than I expected. Jesus. -90. Why is the rotation so... Oh, because... Well... Okay, so this is kind of tricky. I think we'll just eyeball it. We'll just eyeball the rotation of this. Why not, you know? And the translation offset as well. We'll just eyeball everything. Why not? This is fine. And then for the opposite side, there is some maths that you can do, which I currently forget, of course, but I think you have to invert the X, and then maybe you invert the Y and the Z. Nope, not the translation though, but the rotation. And maybe also some translation, but I don't know which one. That one, there you go. Brilliant. So you flip the X scale, X translation, Y and Z rotation. and then you get symmetry for some reason. Let's hide this away at the widgets collection, and then let's parent our eyebrows to this guy. I didn't name it properly. Oh, this will be called master eyebrow.l, and therefore the other guy is master eyebrow.r. Looks like this whole thing could use a fresh symmetrize. Oops, except that messes up my mirroring. But there is a patch to make symmetrize account for custom shape transforms, which is super nice. There we go. Generate. Somebody's spamming their band. How long does it take to be 3D animator and learn its elements? A decade, maybe? Which operating system are we using? It's in the description, I think. It's Pop OS. Maybe it's not in the description, actually. But it's Pop OS. Linux. How to freeze transformations in Blender? It's Control A. Okay, so we have an eyebrow master. Brilliant. So something I could do next is to make these bones move along with some of the surrounding stuff. The question for me would be, and the weights are a nightmare by the way, so please ignore. The question for me is, if I move this eyebrow bone, should these move along with it? And I think the answer is yes. So here's what I would do. I'm back on the Demeter rig. I have this bone, which is for some reason very deep inside the skin, which I think was not intentional. Not intentional. So let me move it a bit out. And then this is going to have an armature constraint with 2 targets. Both can be the Demeter rig. And we want the left side and the right side of that bone. And then just to show you, if we generate, that will now mean that that bone is parented halfway between this one and this one. And the original parenting that it had, which is the head bone, that gets removed. So the generated bone has no parent, just this armature constraint, which is exactly what we want. So this is good. And we will do similar stuff up here. And sorry if it's a bit sneaky when I switch between the Demeter rig and the generated rig. Currently it's kind of hard to see because the differences are quite subtle. Maybe I will tell you what I'll do. I will move the rig to the scene collection, or link the rig to the scene collection, so you can see on the outliner which rig I'm editing right now. There we go. So now on the Demeter rig, and I'm gonna add armature constraint, targeting this guy, but also, well, here's the thing. I want the other parent to be the head deform bone, which is called def head, and the Demeter rig does not have that bone. So in this case, maybe we'll just choose the rig to avoid confusion. Because I think it shouldn't matter which one we choose, the meta rig or the rig. Cloud rig will use the generated rig in both cases. Yep, that seems to work just fine, which is awesome. Okay, and then we want to copy these constraint to these guys and bump the number. This one as well. And then, oops, and then I want to symmetrize that. Somebody's spamming again, Jesus. How to turn all custom properties to check is library overridable via Python. Right, to check if a custom property is library overridable, I'll show you real quick because I know it's super complicated, so might as well spread the knowledge. So the way to do that in the interface is this, but the way to do that in Python is you have the thing that stores the, so you have the property owner, which in this case is context.active pose bone. So you have the, you know, in this case I put it on a forehead bone. And then what you can do is, I think it's property overridable library set. And then I guess you can just say, oh wait, no, then you need the name of the property, which goes like this. Single quotation mark, bracket, double quotation mark, double quotation mark. The name of the property, which is prop, double quotation mark, bracket close, single quotation mark, and then true. So that's a nightmare, right? But that's how it goes. I don't know why that is the way, but that is the way. So yeah, I hope that helps. I'll leave this here for 1 sec. And I'll get rid of this. Okay, so now when we move this, we have some offset going on here. So these bones are now halfway parented between the relevant eyebrow bone and the head bone, which should mean that if we move the head, things don't explode. Very good, very good. And if we move the eyebrow master, well, things move around as well. Okay, how much of this do I want to do is a good question. Maybe one more, maybe these guys as well, to have like 25% influence from this. I guess that would be all right. So I'll just do a bunch of constraint copying. And this I'll have to do one by one, so I'll just go and set the influences to 0.5. I just put it on my clipboard so I can just press Ctrl V because it's faster. And then I will symmetrize these over again. Is knowing Python a prerequisite for being a good rigger? If you have to rig a lot of things in a short period of time with flexibility and you have to listen to feedback, then I think you will need Python. If you want to rig one character for yourself that makes you happy, then you don't need Python. Frick, I changed the number on the wrong guy. Ah, this is supposed to be 1, this is supposed to be 0.5. Oopsie. Oopsie, oopsie, oopsie. Tick, tick, tick. Symmetrize, generate. Please, guys, stop spamming. It's not even funny. I'm a bit confused right now. Why is the one at the top still moving the same amount as the one at the bottom? Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just hallucinating. So this is 50-50. Oh, this is still, I'm dumb. This is 33%. Oops, not 25. Maths, it's hard, guys. 1.25, 0.75. That will be the numbers that we want. And then maybe to avoid confusion, I should normalize this as well. So the normalized values are, of course, the real values, I guess you could say. How long have I been working with Blender? Not 10 years yet, I think. Less than that. Probably only like 6 or 7 years. And that's of course counting like when I was just a school kid playing around with the default cube, you know. If you mean like professionally, actually, it's also quite a lot of years. Probably like 4 years professionally, which for me is a lot of years. It still kind of doesn't work the way I would expect. I mean, if you zoom out, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll make this a 75-25 split the other way around. Not like this, but like this. That must be the numbers I need. Did you take college courses on this subject, or is it all self-taught? By the time I got to college, I knew all of this. So I don't want to lie to you, but I also don't want the answer to affect your decision making in a way that might not be productive. I went to college in London, and I think digital arts education in London, or at least 3D, is way too much in its infancy. Because the college I went to claimed to be the best that they have. And it wasn't that good. It was fine. But it was mostly good for being surrounded by people with a similar interest, so you just have like infinite motivation to do stuff. You don't have to force yourself to do it because people expect you to do it, which is pretty great. But other than that, you still have to kind of rely on yourself if you wanted to excel, which is fine. It was very light, so there was time to do that, so it was fine. But it wasn't like, you know, people didn't know what they were doing, is how I would put it. Speaking of, is my symmetrize not symmetrizing? What's going on here? Oh, and I just forgot to Since when does symmetrize not flip armature constraints correctly? Well, whatever. I have my own symmetrize operator. I'll just use that, but that's odd. Oh, there we go. That flips it. How long does it take at average to make an animation? an animation. Okay, it's fine. I can answer this. I think you phrased that question very poorly, but I can answer this in a way that the animation quota for sprite fright was on average 10 seconds per week per animator. And I would say sprite fright animation was pretty tight on schedule. But my experience is limited to say that. But I think feature films have more time per frame. But I could be wrong. That depends on what feature films, of course. I mean, like the expensive Hollywood blockbusters. That deformation looks very good. No, it doesn't. This is automatic weights. This is all like coincidental stuff. So a bit of both. I'm not doing stuff for a career, just interested. I'm more into manufacturing design stuff. Yeah, I think I would definitely say get an education in something that isn't art. If you think you can motivate yourself to do art on your own, then you will get almost nothing out of college. University, maybe. I haven't tried. But actually, I doubt even more for university. I had some friends who went to digital arts university, and they mostly learned soft skills. And I think if you pay for university to get soft skills, that's a very, very expensive deal that is not in your favor. Okay, now what do I want to do with these center bones? I haven't really decided yet, because I could distribute them equally. I could either do nothing, I could hook them up to this bone, so that when you move this, it still moves on its own. Or I could hook them up to these two. As per, like, by principle, I should hook it up to this one, because I think the lowest level bones shouldn't affect each other, because then they are not the lowest level anymore. Then you're creating another level of hierarchy. But that's like, you know, that's being pedantic. No one actually cares. Nobody has written these rules in stone. So we could break them. Because what that would give us is that then we can have this area move and have it move its surroundings. But I think we would never do that. To be honest, we would always just move this one and expect everything else around it to just move in a good way. But maybe that's not always the case. Now, even so, like, here's the thing. The only reason you would ever have to move the super low level controls is if you're trying to fix something. You're trying to fix broken deformation in an extreme pose. That's the only case when you would move this. And if you are in that situation, then you want super fine control. You want this to move as little area as possible. So this bone should be hooked up to this. And we should stick to our technical reasoning, because it's also valid in the artistic perspective. So that means we just copy this constraint. Kind of. So we have this, so it's split between the left and right eyebrow, but then we throw the head into the mix, except the head doesn't exist in the meta rig, so we use the generated rig. And the percentage we will figure out afterwards. And I guess the same will happen with this. The Armature Constraint saves you the time on setting up a bunch of action constraint, ? Also, I assume it saves you from dependency loops, right? Not really, neither of those. I would say what the Armature Constraint gets me is like partial parenting. So one bone can have multiple parents, and it will inherit a part of the parenting behavior from each. And it's normalized, so it will always add up to 1, so you will never have double transformations unless you have 2 separate armature constraints. But that also requires that the bone doesn't have a real parent. So none of these bones have a parent, strictly speaking. So this parent field is empty for all of them. That also means if I try to look at this rig in the outliner, it's a giant mess. Everything is totally flat because all of these bones have armature constraints, which is fine. I don't care. So yeah, dependency loops. Nah, there's no place here where we would run into a dependency loop in any way. Like, okay, maybe from an external spectator it's not super clear, but like, oh crap, I need to drink, sorry. So the reason we wouldn't run into a dependency loop here is because in my brain I have a very clear separation between the different levels of control here. So I know that this layer has all the deformation bones, which is the lowest level. This is the stuff that actually directly deforms the mesh. And then I know that these white cubes are the next thing up, which are just owning those guys. And they also store any constraints that connect them up to the next level of control, which is then these guys in this case. So yeah, I don't know. It's yeah, for a case like this, you wouldn't really run into a dependency cycle. I think I usually run into dependency cycles when I'm experimenting with IK stuff and I have no idea what I'm doing, because I do trial and error. I don't do logic and thinking. Not good at it. I just throw constraints and bones at stuff until it works. Do I have Instagram? No, I don't know what to do with such social media platforms. I don't take pictures. I'm surprised that everybody else apparently does. There's so much info out there for free anyway. Something's better than what's paid for. Also, for instance, Organic Chemistry Tutor, I think, is basically a free YouTube school channel. Yeah, I agree. I love the time that we live in, that you can really learn a ridiculous amount of things to a crazy level. And you know, that's what Blender wants to do for 3D art. But there's other things out there that let you do it for other hobbies and professional fields. But they might not be free. And Blender is free. Will you be able to squint the eyes here? The mesh is not deforming that way. Is there a later step? Yep, the eyes will come later. But maybe today. How long have I been on? 2.5 hours. Holy moly. Still, if we don't mess around too long on the eyebrows, I would still like to do the eyelids. Yeah, so it's about to be 6. So yeah, I will go off at 7. So in 1 hour and 10 minutes, we'll try to have eyelids, okay? But for now, let's figure out these 2 bones. So if I raise this eyebrow, yeah, so I want this to move further away, which means I would reduce the influence of the head. Wow, significantly. Wait, that's kind of surprising. Do I really want this to be 0? Nah, not quite 0, but almost. 0.25. And this one can be a bit more, like 0.5? Wait, what? No, not that. No, that this stays on 1. And then these get reduced. Excuse me. Hey, there you go. Yeah, I think something like this looks reasonable. Yeah. Oh, but wait, I'm being kind of dumb. I should try what happens when I move both of them at the same time. I'm not sure why I didn't put this bone one higher. I mean, I guess I was scared to put it on the hair, but why? This absolutely belongs one edge loop higher. That's kind of random that was in the wrong place. Okay, let me hide the hair. Okay, so once that is done, I think things will make a bit more sense here. And then let me... What? Why am I... Right, I always forget that I cannot access the bone layer UI when I'm in weight pen mode, which is lame. Normally I can do it with my custom thing, but that's broken today. I will have to fix it. Okay, so I was gonna say, I'm not gonna go into detailed weight painting right now, by the way. I was just checking on these ones, and they seem fine. So now if we move these guys up. Oh, I didn't regenerate the rig yet. Oops. And that explains why I didn't see anything wrong with the weights. Because this should actually have influence there. Like so. So now, if I move both of these up. Okay, the deformation is all whack, but if you ignore the wireframe and look at the bones, this still moves up a bit too much. Oh, because I didn't change the numbers. Ah, frick. What am I doing? So what I had was this was 0.5, this was 0.5, and then this was 0.25. Then we can normalize this to reduce confusion. Maybe we can make them a bit more nice numbers, I guess, although... Oh, that's a fairly significantly different number, so maybe that was dumb. But whatever. Do I have ArtStation? Yes, but I haven't updated it since college. I haven't done art since college. I've been rigging, but I have some epic game assets there. The problem is that there's also plenty of poor tutorials out there. I guess that is true. I also, but you know, the interesting thing is I learned Java when I was like 14 from a tutorial series, and I went back to it much later, and just like out of nostalgia, and I realized that a lot of the code there was kind of trash. So yes, I did learn a bunch of bad practices from it, but then apparently I unlearned them somehow. So you know, maybe it's not even that bad. As long as you, I guess, as long as you seek out tutorials from a wide variety of people or something. If you shave your head bald, you will look like Victor Zaz from DC. Okay, wait a minute. We'll have to check on that. I don't know, man. Sure, I'll take it, but I can't grow a beard, sorry. Okay, I like this guy. But nah, my eyebrows are also like almost non-existent. Nah, I don't see it, sorry. You can apply weights to other bones to control them. Yeah. So with the Armature Constraint, so the reason it's called Armature Constraint is because it's like the Armature modifier, except the Armature modifier accepts. The Armature modifier affects vertices, and the Armature Constraint affects bones, but it affects bones in the same way. In fact, it's the exact same code under the hood. So it's just armature deformation from one bone to another instead of from one bone to a vertex. So this is like a very slow method of weight painting, you know, putting in numbers one by one. So that might seem silly in a way, but what you get in exchange is that each of those vertices, which are now actually bones, you can control. But it's still not quite as much work as every single vertex. It's about a quarter of it, which is still a lot, but still. That's why I like Blender so much, the whole open source, open community. It's grown a lot from that method. Yeah, Blender is pretty unbelievable. What if Facebook tries to kidnap Ton and forces him to change the license? If yeah, thank you. If you are enjoying the stream, I am happy. Although I have no idea how you achieve this, because I'm just doing boring stuff. Did Julian delete the top of Snow's head? No, that was me. I just hit his hair. Okay, so eyebrows. Happy. We're only looking at the bones, guys, not the wireframe. Ignore the wireframe. What the bones are doing is making sense here, which is good. Okay, so we move on. Eyelids. We have an hour and 3 minutes for eyelids. Let's do it. Where are they? They are here. And, well, actually, the thing is we don't even need to do any hierarchy stuff for this. We will do an action setup, which is exciting, actually, kind of, because I like showing that stuff off. Oh, and I also promised earlier that I would do lattice stuff, so let's try to get this done in 55 minutes, and we'll have 5 minutes for lattices. So let's make an eyelid upper and eyelid lower control. There will be a kind of a master control, but I might name it ACT for action to show that it's an action-based control rather than a parenting-based control. I'm tempted to do that, but then again, that's kind of like, it's sort of technical information instead of something that's relevant for the animators, so maybe I won't do it. But in any case, let's grab some eyelid mesh from the character. Unlock transforms, rename the object, widget, snow underscore eyelid.l. Oh, but it's we need to split this in two still, because we have a lower eyelid and upper eyelid, obviously. So here's our eyelid upper. And here's our eyelid lower. And there's our origin point, origin to 3D cursor. And I think for these ones I want to squash them. Oops, not like that. Where did it disappear? What? This doesn't make any sense. So when I scale them to 0, they disappear. When I scale them to 0.1, then it's fine. Blender, are you being broken right now? Whatever, don't question it. If you can fix it, don't question it. I want this to be a double line for aesthetic purposes. So I would do something like this. This is all the modeling that you get to do as a rigger, so you gotta enjoy every extrusion, every duplication. Okay, so we have some shapes. These shapes are actually kind of huge. Yeah, consider these placeholders. I also want to change the pivot point, I think. There and there. But yeah, I feel like these are kind of ugly. But whatever. Also, let's scale them up to be a standard size, which is totally pointless, by the way, so don't worry too much about this. But asterisk 1 divided by Ctrl V, so that the biggest dimension is 1 meter, just so my bone scales are consistent. This is the kind of consistency stuff that you start worrying about when rigging gets too boring for you and you want to keep your mind busy with other stuff. You just worry about, oh no, are all my bone widgets roughly the same size? Even though it's completely pointless. So let's name this master eyelid upper.l instead of ACT. I'm on the wrong freaking rig. But this time I noticed it a bit sooner. So this is master eyelid upper.l, and this is master eyelid lower.l. Do I need to duplicate it for the opposite side? Oh yeah, X mirror is off. Interesting, whatever. And then we select the widget. Eyelid upper. Surprisingly small. Eyelid lower. Scale them up. And rotate. Huh. These bone shapes are disasters. Do I need to invert this? Like, why does this not look like the eyelid that I base it off of, you know? Oh, because it's tilted? Okay, this bone can actually be perfectly straight because it's only going to move up and down. So we do this. This should still be Z facing out. So like that, which is also what I get if I recalculate along -y. Okay. And then rotate X -90. Recalculate -y. Oh wait. Flatten, recalculate -y. Rotate X -90. These bone shapes are terrible. I'll just modify it in place here. Oh, maybe not. Oh, for frick's frack. We'll just model it like this. 'Cause I don't know why it's totally mismatching. But I'll fix it in any way I can. This is not the way to do things quickly. I'm very slow. But hey, at least this thing doesn't look totally embarrassing anymore. Ah, what am I doing? Where's my rig? Arg. Put this in the widgets collection. We can also give this a color. And get rid of the access display. I should really put a shortcut on that. Comments. Is there any music composer at Blender? Yeah, Andy makes music. I know that. Pretty much everybody except me plays music, which is pretty sad for me. People either play music or have families. That seems to be the trade-off when I look around myself. How long did this take to learn? 5 years. Why not, instead of software like Blender, should become an OS? Then no compatibility issue, no driver issue. That would be amazing. Well, you're just trading compatibility with software for compatibility with people. You think somebody will install your Blender OS that can't run games and can't open Microsoft Office? Probably not. We give this thing a color as well. And let me fix this bone shape also. Let's make things pretty. You know how pro chefs like my mom say that they cook with love, tweaking bone shapes, that's the love. Even though I would actually prefer to just get rid of bone shapes and have gizmos instead, but that's forbidden. No fun allowed. Oh, okay, see? This is why I don't have screencast keys turned on, because my Blender just crashed. And guess what? I did not lose any work, because I have an autosave. From 10 minutes ago? Are you kidding me? Oh no, from 4 minutes ago. That's still a bit longer than I would expect. What's my autosave setting on? Where is it? Where's the autosave timer, guys? What the heck? Save and load. Autosave. 3 minutes. Psh. 1 minute. Okay, so we will... Oh, there we go. Okay, so we will have to redo a little bit of modeling here. High octane, high skill, high fidelity modeling right here. And let's save, by the way. That's also one way to not lose work, is to just save. But in this case, I haven't saved since I started the stream, so imagine if I had screencast keys on and I had no autosave, everything I did on this stream would be gone now. So that's why I'm not using it. And that's why I just always say, sorry guys. Okay. What? Rig. Bam. Okay. Shove this into widgets collection. Disable the frigging axes. Assign the frigging bone group. Tweak the frigging distance. Tweak the friggin' this thing. Another thing about screencast keys is I have a host of custom hotkeys, so you would be pressing the keys that I'm pressing and nothing would happen. I think I never lost my preferences, so I am bringing my key bindings over from like 2.63 or something. So I have a few. Okay. All right, we caught up. So we have some bones. Yeah, these shapes are still unlike, but we'll worry about it in the future. For now, what I want to do is change them to Euler and then lock everything except Y, location, and Z rotation, it seems. No scaling, and so these will be our action driving bones. And let's see, let's just generate these. What do you think about radical? I don't know what it is. What's speaker thing in add menu? Yeah, I think it's a sound effect. I don't know what it works. I don't know what it does. I never tried it. To use any add-on for rigging? Yeah, it's in the description. I guess you really hate screencast key because of that finger weight painting process. Did I crash when I was weight painting the fingers? Probably. Yeah, I think at the time I thought that the autosave thing was not a limitation anymore, and then I realized, and then I had to redo some finger stuff. Yeah, that rings a bell. All 3D software's crash is complete normal. Well, yeah. But hey, I mean, yeah. I will say this, it's certainly better to have a plan B, which is the autosave, than to expect perfection. Plan B is much more reliable. Okay, so we have our control. It does nothing for now, but I am going to create a new action. I'm going to name it, I don't know, rig.snow, rig-snow, I don't know. We have some kind of convention, but I forget what it is and don't want to look it up. I'm going to say rig-snow underscore eyelid upper. Could name it blink, could name it up down. I think blink won't be accurate because, well, yeah, up down, because this action will also allow moving the eyelids up. So let's decide that the center of the action will be frame 10, completely arbitrarily. And then let's select our upper eyelid controls, which here is a bit difficult because the upper and the lower one are at the same spot, but whatever. And keyframe these. Oh, I'm gonna pick a keying set, which is low-cross scale. There we go. Keyframe, and then I want to see my deformation bones, but ideally only these ones. And then we will put, so we named this up down. So what I want to do is the going backwards in time will raise the eyelids up, and going forwards in time will lower the eyelids down. Let's start with down because it's more interesting, of course. So for frame 20 is going to be our final frame, so I can just set end frame. This doesn't actually do anything, but just to visualize that this is the frame range that I'm going to create this action in. And then I'll pause my blink and ignore the mesh. We don't care about the mesh because the mesh is a nightmare. You know what we do with the mesh? We smooth the hell out of it. Bam. Perfect. Brilliant. It's actually not very helpful anyways, but at least it's less scary, I guess. So we can just move and rotate all this stuff, and we only care about making a nice clean curve with the bone, with the bendy bones. We will worry about the mesh once we do weight painting, which is not on today's stream, but the next one maybe, or maybe not even the next one, but the one after that. It will depend on how fast I am. Okay, so we try to make a nice, beautiful curve from every angle, ideally. And of course, when we are doing weight painting, we will have to tweak this curve to be even better. But there you go. That's the curve. And then we keyframe this. And then, whoop, there you go. You have some kind of a blink. Although I think I want to have a little bit of twisting going on for the right effect. So what you could also do, of course, and actually what I could have also done is put a bunch of helper bones at the center of the eyeball, roughly, and then rotate the bones from there with those helper bones. Something you could also do is to just put the cursor there and just rotate it from the cursor, which I think is what I'm going to do. And it's not going to make a big difference at all, but, well, actually with the helper bone you get better interpolation as well. Maybe I should go for that. Maybe it's worth the trouble. It's really quite a subtle difference for quite a lot more mess. But I did say that we're going for high quality here, so maybe we should do it. But also, I have something like that built into Cloud Rig, I think. Except I haven't tried it in a while. But we do have cloud_eyelid, which does that, what I just described. Puts the pivot for each of the controls at the center of the eyeball, which it finds based on parenting. So these eyelids have to be parented to the eye, which might cause problems, but we'll see. Let's just test this, just to see what happens. Could you explain a bit more on why you would rather use gizmos instead of bone shapes? What does gizmo for bones look like? Yeah, what I mean by gizmos is... boy, so many blog posts. Hit this one. I want this tech. We have this tech, but it's not good. This tech has some flaws, which I described in this blog post, but they seem super fixable, but there is nobody to fix them, which is very sad. So yeah, but yeah, you can go on the studio.blender.org, go on the blog, and find this article by me about my experiment with mesh-based character interaction. That's what I meant. It's super cool, but it does not fit on anyone's roadmap right now, which is pretty sad. But what can you do? That is life. Okay, so about this eyelid rig. I don't know how it works, even though if anyone should know it, then it's me. Aha! There you go. See? It created these guys. It seems to even the sticky eyelid thing is working, which I don't actually want. But whatever. But the thing is, this shouldn't work right now. The fact that this works right now is not good. Because if that works, then this does not. Why? Why though? So we have an end handle that's parented to this. Oh, there. Ah, right. So the relinking of constraints seems to be broken. Yeah, it also adds more functionality than what I want. I don't think we want to have the sticky eyelid stuff. Or maybe we do. In any case, for now, I'll just go back to cloud face chain. Maybe I'll return to the eyelid stuff later. For now, I'll just do some very simple actions, just to show off the action setup in a simple way. So, speaking of action, let me regen this thing. When closing the eyes, you do 80 to 85% is upper eyelid, then next 10 to 15% is lower one. Right. Yeah. So you're right. So when a person blinks, the lower eyelid moves as well, of course. But I leave that up to the animator, and I think you should too. Making a blend shape for the blink is also perfectly fine. Oh, then and yeah, it was just moving a straight line in a flat way. Yeah, currently this also moves straight down in a flat way. That's the thing. That's why I was considering making it more fancy. I mean, we happen to get this nice curvature out of it here, but that's just because the mesh already has that in the base pose. Like this little bump here just kind of coincidentally turns into this nice curve, which is probably mostly thanks to the insane amounts of corrective smooth that I have on this. There you go. So to make this more fancy, there's two ways. You either, let me reduce the mess. So we have our upper eyelid bone here. You either give it a parent that pivots from where the cursor is, and then you animate the parent, which is what I wanted to try just now, but there's some technical difficulties that I would need to fix. Alternatively, you can also add the keyframe here between the two extremes. Just add the keyframe that moves this out a bit, and that kind of gets you the same thing. And I think I'll just go ahead and do that now, just for the sake of showing it, I guess. It's not super visible. Maybe with subframes it's more clear, but I forget where that is. Crap. Negative frames. Isn't the timeline show subframes? Aha. Right, so yeah, I don't know if this is visible. It adds a very small amount of curvature. I mean, it's up to how you keyframe it, I guess. Can you keyframe on subframes? Is that possible? No. Maybe it is, but not like this. Anyways, maybe I should use subframes for authoring actions, by the way, because then I don't need an insane frame range. Because, I mean, the animator will have an infinite amount of how do you say, resolution on this, and with subframes I also have that. But anyways, let's do the eye open real quick, which I mean, I will do this with an action now, just for the sake of showing that it's a thing. But for this design, I think this is cartoony enough where if the animators want like a super surprised face, like a full-on Tom and Jerry shock face, then I would probably do it with a lattice instead of this, like, because doing it like this is kind of leaning in the realistic angle. And I think for those kind of expressions, doing the cartoony thing where the eyeball itself stretches is more appealing, as opposed to, you know, this stuff, which is also fine, I guess, but I don't know. This looks kind of creepy. But anyways, there's an eyelid action. Let's just roll with this. Let's make these keyframes linear. That's not too important, but I think it will feel better later when I set up the action. And then we want the opposite bones to have all the same keyframes. So I will enable mirror posing and insert some keyframes. Why did that put it on the previous frame? Okay, so I guess subframes work in a strange way. Whatever. And then only these three for here. Oops. Wait, yes, that's fine. Okay. And then linear everything. And then we have our action. Then we go to the Demeter Rig. We come to Rigify Actions. Oh, I totally forgot to mention that I set up a thing for the fingers, but ignore all this stuff that's already here. We'll add the new one. We'll select the action that we just made, which is eyelid upper, up, down. And we'll select the control bone, which is our master eyelid upper.l. We will say it's symmetrical, which is grayed out. Why is it grayed out? Oh, because I didn't symmetrize that thing yet. I should do that. Let me symmetrize these controls and generate the rig so the UI stops being grayed out. Not that it's a problem, but still. So we go back here. So we have our control selected, symmetrical enabled. It shows me the symmetrical name, just to confirm. Master eyelid upper.r. The frame start that we have, I think, is 20. The frame end is, no, the frame start is 0, the frame end is 20. So this thing shows us that the default frame must be 10, which is exactly what we did. So if I go back here, you see the frame 10 is where our default pose is. And then we want this to be driven by the Y location in local space. How much Y location? This shape is so big and ugly. Minus 0.3, I guess. Minus 0.3, and in that case we want the max to be plus 0.3 to keep our default frame at 10. Otherwise you can see it complains that the default frame should be a whole number. And all of these numbers contribute to that. So this should be the final setup. And then we hit generate. And doesn't work. Oh, it works the wrong way. Then let's go back and invert these numbers. Min and max value are the same. We'll be stuck reading frame 0. There we go. Once you invert both of those, then that warning goes away. As you can see, I tried adding all kinds of warnings to that system, so because it's otherwise this process is very fragile, to be fair. It doesn't seem right. Did I put 0.3 instead of 0.03? It seems so. Yep, I missed a 0 here. Sorry. Let's try that one more time. In the meanwhile, I'll read the question. Where did you get trained as animation professional? I'm in Country and Academy, my bedroom, YouTube. But I'm not an animation professional, I'm a rigger. Can you hire somebody to fill in Pablo de Barro's place because he left? I don't think anybody's developing sculpting. I think there is someone someone who is interested in developing that stuff, but I don't know the details. But point at the person who is available, and I can guarantee you, I'm just a rigger, but I will literally guarantee you that we will hire them. But this person does not exist. How do we make multiple animation? Every time I try to push down an action, it does nothing, even when appending the model to a new file. Not sure what you understand. Well, not sure what you mean. So if you just want to have multiple animations in the same file, you can just enable fake user on your action, like open an action editor, which is inside the dope sheet. So you go, oh god, so you go dope sheet, action editor. Here will be your action that you've animated. You can name it, give it a fake user, just get rid of it with unlink action, and it's still going to be in the file as long as you don't forget to click fake user. It's still going to be in the file. You can still select it later in the future, and you can append it into other files, but it won't be affecting your active armature, and you can start making your next animation. I think push down should also work, but that pushes it into the NLA stack, which will mean that it will still affect your character, so I don't think that's what you want. Do I use any add-on? Yes, it's in the description. I think. Yep, just the 2. Actually, there's a third one that I should add there, but it's kind of a mess, so I don't want to. Okay, do we blink? Hey, look, it blinks. Oh god, what's going on there? I forgot something, didn't I? I forgot that our widget objects were separated from the head mesh, but I didn't remove the armature constraint from them, and all the other stuff from them. Oopsie, 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 oopsie. Let's take care of that. This as well. Okay. For the eyebrow though, it could be fun to keep that, actually. But nah. It would fly away. Okay. Look, we have a blink. And we can also raise the eyes, which I want to make that happen sooner. So we don't need to have this action be symmetrical in the keyframe department. So if I say that I want the eyelid up motion to cap out here, like here-ish, we'll make this exactly 0.1. Then we can just move this keyframe around until it caps out, which apparently is here. And make sure this, like, when I'm editing the action, that I'm also activating through the constraints. I want to make sure that my playhead is on the default frame of the action, which in this case I remember that it's 10, but if you don't remember, then you can come here and check on this guy. Okay, so this should now cap out pretty early. There we go. And because of that, I also want to slap a limit location on this to indicate that there is no point moving this any further than 0.01 and minus 0.03. Or am I the wrong way around? No, that should be it. Why is it being weird? Oh, because this has to be this. And this has to be the other one. Here we go. Perfect. Effect transform, why not? See. Oh crap! We crashed again. It seems to crash sometimes when I open the search bar. Interesting, interesting. I guess we lose another 5 minutes. Let's see. Let's see. We lose almost nothing. Haha! Good timing. Oh, because I changed the autosave timer to 1 minute because I'm a genius. Hell yeah! So we lost our limit location constraint. So let's do it again. Minus 0.03 plus 0.01. Save. Edit mode. Symmetrize. Okay. Bloop, bloop. Oh, and also the other side also works. Oh, and I did this on the wrong rig. Ah! Okay, limit location constraint. Take 3. This will be the one. Minus 0.03 plus 0.01. Symmetrize. Regenerate. Does Blender have animation layers? Do I use animation layers? No. I would say, as far as I know, nobody has come up with a layered animation workflow that I think is good enough for production. People tried using the NL editor with an add-on called Animation Layers, and it was almost fine, but then I think the animators somehow managed to break things in ways that was very hard to recover. And that was directly because of attempting to use animation layers. So, not the most ideal. Even though, of course, if it worked, that would be awesome. And I bet that there is a way to make it work. If you know exactly what you're doing, then you can totally do layered animation, I'm sure, with the NL editor and maybe with the help of that add-on. But it's kind of hard to scale up, because if the UX is so confusing that people end up breaking stuff, then those people are gonna rather avoid it because they're gonna be scared of losing work and stuff, or messing up the production. Okay, what's going on here? Why is this eyelid so wonky? I guess... Oh, because I just symmetrized it, and the symmetrize does not yet account for the custom bone shapes. There we go. Okay, I think we have a blink. And we still have 20 minutes. I mean, it's not a great blink. Wait, nah, damn it. Wait, no. And then I reset my playhead. There we go. We have a blink. A very bad blink, but a blink nonetheless. Something that we can start improving on. Let's also do the lower eyelid since we have the time. So I'm gonna unlink this action. So now if I move my playhead, nothing happens, which is what I want. And then I'm gonna grab the lower eyelid bones, and I can hold Alt and Shift when there's a bunch of overlapping stuff. And I'm gonna insert a keyframe. Name this rig-snow underscore eyelid lower up down. Wait, up down, down up, up down. Well, you see, maybe it would make sense to have this be called down up. Maybe I should have went with close open, because then it would be the same. I think I could do that. Close open. And then the other one can also be called close open, because the concept of being closed and open is more, I guess, sensible than up and down, which flips between the upper and the lower eyelid. Okay, so then let's start with the closing. We can have a symmetrical posing enabled for this, which I have bound to Shift X, by the way, but again, that's not a default shortcut, so if I use screencast keys, you would just be confused. In the UI, it's here somewhere. There it is. X-axis mirror. Alright, so we want to raise the lower eyelid, and we kind of want to have the deform bones here for reference, because the mesh doesn't really tell us what's going on at this stage. The mesh is just a bunch of lies that I've constructed. But bones don't lie. And we get our nice curve. Doesn't have to be too nice, just decent, you know. We can make it amazing later in the future when we have weights and stuff. Okay, keyframe there, and then for the open, we can move it down a bit. This is a bit of a disaster. It's an absolute nightmare, but try your best to ignore the mesh and look at the bones only. Even though at the end of the day the mesh will be more important than what the bones are doing, it's just we can't really rely on it when it's not weighted properly. And I can't really weight it without the bones doing something, at least, so it's an iterative process, I guess. Alright, keyframe, linear, back to default frame, back to Meta Rig, actions, new action. Let's save the file so we don't crash. Lower eyelid, master eyelid lower dot L, symmetry enabled, frame 0 to 20, Y location. The amount of transformation is a good question. I would say something like this much. So maybe 0.01. Yeah. Plus minus 0.01. Let's see. How do you update your rig right and left? Do you mean the actual sides right and left, or the English expression left, right, and center, as in something that is frequent? If it's the former, I do it with the symmetrize operator, mostly. Symmetrize right there. I also have my own thing in case symmetrize fails. This is something I wrote before symmetrize existed. But symmetrize takes care of 95% of cases. And if you mean the latter of how do I regenerate my rig so quickly, I just press Ctrl-Alt-R, which is my shortcut for the Rigify generate rig button. Kind of. I have my own operator. Okay, so eyelid. Of course it goes the wrong way. I knew it. So we flip this, and we flip this, and we try again. I mean multiple animation layers for the same control and mix the animation influences. Yeah, I guess for that you would need like a layer and an basically check out the animation layers add-on. It's something that kind of hides the NLA editor with a more intuitive interface. And yeah, it's just, yeah. It can be dangerous if you aren't careful and if you press the wrong buttons in the wrong order. But I'm sure with experience and some hard learned lessons, it can be great. And apparently Luciano has a tutorial on how to use it. That's good to know. But then again, do you trust Luciano? Yeah, you should. Okay, so lower eyelid, it works. And I want the lower thingy action to activate a bit faster. Like maybe, I guess here it should already be maxed out, so let's go with 0.05, and that is, which way is that? Is this way? Yes. Go, and then, so this is negative, and then limit location y effect transform local minus 0.005 and plus 0.01, I think are the numbers that we want. And then we symmetrize, regenerate. Which is best laptop for this work? One that runs Blender and has a keyboard. Okay. I think we have some blinking action happening now for both eyes. Of course, it looks terrible, but that's fine, although wait, this part is odd. Oh, because it's frame 1, but this should be correct, I thought. Should it be frame 0? Oh yeah, it should be frame 0. Okay. Then that means this one, oh, this is frame 20, okay. Should it be frame 0? 0 to 20. Huh, I guess so. Okay, so yeah, the first keyframe was in the wrong place for this one, because I could still move the control at the end of its range a little bit without it actually doing anything anymore, which is never nice. All right. Whew. Okay, guys, let's do a quick fun lattice thing really quickly. This is the last thing I'll do today. It's completely unrelated to everything else we've done today. It's related to something I mentioned on the last stream, that you don't have to worry about like cheek stuff, because you can just slap a lattice on it and call it a day. So I will do that right now. So I duplicated this bone here. I'll call it ltc-cheek.l and .r. I'm gonna give them a group, call them lattices. I'm gonna make them blue, and then I'm gonna assign the cloud underscore lattice rig type, and same to the other one. And then I'm gonna maybe parent this to def head, but that can come future. Generate. Will there be another rigging stream? Yes. Don't know when. Maybe tomorrow. Actually, I feel like I always say it's gonna be tomorrow, and then it's never tomorrow. So you know, take it with a grain of salt. But in theory, nobody else is streaming tomorrow, so the streaming setup should be available, and I have to get this phase done as soon as possible. So logically, if I'm a good boy, then I will stream tomorrow the continuation of this process. So this cloud lattice rig type just gave us a lattice object here, and I'm gonna select Snow's face and add a lattice modifier and move this. It could, you know what, I'm gonna leave it after the subdivision for maximum detail, I suppose. And I select the left lattice, and I'm gonna duplicate this and select the, select the right lattice. For cleanliness, I'm gonna also name these two lattice cheek left, and then lattice cheek right. Maybe right is a bit too verbose. We can just do L and R, because there will be more of these and I don't want to type out left and right every time. So now these lattices affect Snow, as you can see, right? Like so. But of course this is pretty trash, because what the hell, it's moving his freaking arms, what the heck. So instead of moving the lattice directly, you shove the lattices away to a secret collection called snow.rig.helpers, because we don't care about them. And you switch to the actual generated rig, and we find the collection, or the layer where the lattice controls are, which are these two guys. And if you grab this sphere and you move it, it moves only the center of the lattice, which I guess you can't see now because I hid it, but you can see its effect. It's like he's chewing a very large gum, but now more like a normal sized gum. And yeah, you can just you can do whatever you want with it. And yeah, look, the rest of the face rig will not react to this, of course. That would be insane and much more difficult to do. Or at least, well, you could fake it, but that's kind of pointless. But still, this is still ridiculously powerful. You would just do your other animation before you use this, and then you would use this. So yeah, that's about it. We have a jaw, kind of. We have some eyebrows, kind of. We have an eyelid, kind of. And we have a cheek control, kind of. Everything is still all over the place and a big mess. But I mean, it all makes sense in my head, you know? So that's all that counts. I should have been full screen during all of this. How long have I not been in full screen? Oh well. Thank you guys for watching and chatting. I really enjoy the questions and interacting with the chat, so it's always nice. Come around next time. Like I said, possibly tomorrow. Same time, whenever the heck I started this stream. I guess probably an hour and a half. Yeah, like an hour after lunch. 2 p.m. let's say, roughly. 3 p.m., something like that. So yeah, thanks again, and see you guys.